all, who here has done a buyer consult yet? Has anybody done one? And Robin, if you can watch the chat because I don't have it up. Has anybody, raise your hand if you've done a buyer consult. Oh, Brandon. Nice. How'd it go?
I've only done one so far, but like overall it went well. She's still in process of getting her like pre-approval, but it went well. And I think she's on like the right track.
Nice. And how long, remind me, have you been licensed?
Been licensed about 2 months.
Awesome. Good for you.
Thanks.
Love it. And then I see another little yellow hand is up, but your name says iPhone 11 Pro Max.
Oh, that's me, Kelsey Skiers from Keller Williams North Sound.
Hi.
I need to change my thing. I just got a new phone, and so it must not be changed.
Oh.
I'll change that. But yeah, no, my buyer consults have gone good so far.
Nice.
I've closed all 3 of them, and then I have 2 other buyer consults that I just did recently.
Awesome. And where did you get the information to do the buyer consult? Did you just kind of make it up, or are you on a team, or how did that work out?
Well, I was an individual agent, but I just joined a team recently, but I just watched YouTube videos. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Nice. Good for you. And they went well and you signed people.
Yep. 3.
Fantastic. Love it. Well, you and Brandon, if you guys want to chime in throughout, you know, we can kind of do some role playing too, and you guys can help out.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, you guys. Well, the thing that I think is most important, I mean, I guess it's all important, obviously, but when you get to the buyer consult, you know, this is already taking into account that you booked it, you're going to meet with them, or I guess in this day and age, it could be on Zoom because a lot of stuff is on Zoom, obviously, like we are here today. So the most important thing is setting the stage from the beginning, right? So I'm going to kind of pick on you guys now, Brandon and Kelsey, because I want to hear how it was for you when you set up. Did you go meet with them in person or was it on Zoom?
Mine were 2 of them were in person, and then one of them was over the phone.
Okay. And what about you, Brandon?
Mine was at mine was at a Starbucks.
Nice. So you met him in person.
Yep.
And when you went into it, how did you prepare for it? What did you do in advance before actually showing up when you did the in-person or the Zoom one?
I prepared for mine a lot, just by practicing with like myself in the mirror, and then also with my husband. I work with him in real estate as well too. And so just kind of like going back and forth with him.
I love it. I love it. So actually practicing with somebody, because that helps so much. You want to be able to sound confident, right? And sound like you've said it before. So that's awesome that you actually like role played. And I love that you even did it in front of the mirror, because that way you can even watch your own facial expressions and see how you look. Definitely. I have actually recently looked back at a video of myself doing a class, and I was like, whoa, I didn't like the way that my facial expressions look, so I should have checked that out sooner. But good for you for doing that. What about you, Kelsey?
I just kind of went over and like wrote down like what I was going to say and everything, and then kind of went over that and then just followed that.
Okay, good.
And then part of it I kind of winged, but I just kind of like said it in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I like that you wrote it down and you had a plan. I think that that's really important too when you go into it.
Yeah.
Kind of having an outline of how it's going to look and knowing the steps that you're going to go over with them, so that you're not surprised if they ask something or something comes up, right? So the prep in advance is super important. So when you get there or on Zoom, you know, some of the things to remember is you want to introduce your whole team. you want to let them know, even if you are a brand new solo agent, you can say that you have a transaction coordinator. You muted me.
Sorry, that was me.
Okay, so if you have a transaction coordinator, right, you can say that like that is part of your team. You have a designated broker in the office, you have a reviewing broker, whatever people that you want to say, or if you actually do have a team or you're on a team, you can utilize those people to make yourself look like you have this big team, right? So remembering to introduce those people and explain what they do. And you can even use your lender as part of that if you want. If you have a lender that they're going to use, that's part of your team, you know, and you may or may not have already connected them to the lender, but you can make that as part of it too. Some people have a buyer consult written on paper and a binder or folder or however that looks, and they have their team on there, lenders and whatnot. Title and escrow, that is part of your team too, right? So you can explain what all these people do and you look like you have this team that you have all of this set up and you know what you're doing. Make the buyers feel comfortable. So Brandon, for you, having met them at Starbucks, did you offer to buy them coffee?
So like I actually got there about a half hour before like she did. She got there like a little bit late. But she arrived, she sat down with me and she was like, I'm gonna go run in, get a coffee, like use the bathroom. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. And I was just like take your time, like we can get started whenever you're like ready to begin.
I got really good advice when I first started, and it had to do with meetings at Starbucks. And I'll never forget it because I utilized it and it's so true. If you go to Starbucks, especially more so if you're a girl with a purse, you get up to the counter, and if you're anything like me, there is a lot of stuff in your purse. And you are offering to buy them coffee or pay for their stuff, and you get up there, and without fail, anytime I want to go find my credit card, bank card, whatever the case may be, cash, I am fumbling, and this is if I'm by myself, fumbling, looking through my purse, finding where the dang bank card is when I know I just used it, right? So the best advice I got is to have the Starbucks app on your phone and have it pre-downloaded, because you know where your phone is at all times, right? So when you get up there, you literally just open up the Starbucks app and there's the little barcode, and you get more points too if you use the barcode on your Starbucks app, just so you know. You put it up there and boom, you don't have to worry about fumbling and looking for your bank card and looking, you know what I mean? So I thought that was really great advice that definitely pertained to me when I was doing this. So make them feel comfortable. If you're on Zoom, excuse me, you are not going to be offering them water, but if you're in person, definitely water. If you are at their house, you know, whatever the case may be, I always say, do you want me to take off my shoes? You want to make them feel like they're in control, they're comfortable, you know, they're happy. And then establish rapport. Have you guys heard of Ford? I think we've talked about it in a couple classes. So family, occupation, recreation, dreams. And those are just some things to utilize to help you remember to bond with them. So knowing about their family. Do you know that they have a 5-year-old that plays soccer? Do you know what their job is? You know, do you know what they want, what their goals are, what their dreams are? Maybe you're not necessarily knowing all of the dreams of a buyer that you just got in contact with, but building that relationship, because again, this is always all about relationships. Everything in this business, I think, boils down to relationships. So knowing all of that stuff and building that, and not just jumping immediately into, okay, so you want to buy a house and sign here, right? You want to build the relationship, get that banter going, ask them how their day was, ask them how their family is, ask them, and truly pay attention. don't just say it to say it like you're just saying it, right? Don't have that salesy breath. We call it like recruiting breath and sales breath, commission breath. Don't have the commission breath. So establish that, okay? I like to make it clear when I'm with somebody that I'm turning my phone upside down. Because trust me, in that hour, my phone's gonna blow up a million times. And even if I don't answer it, if it's facing up, you can see it lighting up, right? So I turn it over. Somebody said something really great in one of my circles yesterday, that they take their Apple Watch off during an appointment, because that constantly is going off too. And it lights up every text message, or vibrates during a phone call and vibrates the entire time it's ringing. So you can do that. But definitely I make it clear that I'm turning over my phone. Now, if you're on Zoom, which I do 90% of my appointments now on Zoom, I always say and let them know, hey, if you see me looking down, or like right now, you guys probably see me looking to the left, it's because all of your faces are on the left and my slides are right here. So I think I'm looking at you, but I'm a little bit turned to the side as far as you guys see. But I let people know, like, if you see me looking down, I'm taking notes. I have my notepad in front of me, and if they can't see me, I want them to know that it's not that I'm not paying attention to them. I'm paying attention so much, and I care so much, and I'm super into it, that I'm taking notes on everything that they say. Or if you're typing notes, hey, I just want to let you know, if you see me typing, I'm typing notes about everything that you're telling me. I want to take everything that you say and not forget anything, because it's all so important to keep track of everything. I want to take notes and write it all down, right? So I let them know that ahead of time if we're on Zoom, so that they know what I'm doing. Oops. Okay. Explain 3 possible outcomes. Now, I will tell you, I don't like this script. I'm just going to give it to you if you guys want to use it. I don't like it. I don't use it because I'm not I just don't like it. I feel like I'm just not this type of personality. But if you can do it, oh my God, amazing for you. I think Cody Gibson uses it, and he's obviously brilliant and very successful. So one of the scripts that you can say is, we're going to have 3 possible outcomes today. A, you're either going to decide to hire me to become your buyer's agent. B, after hearing what I have to offer, you will choose not to hire me. Okay. Or I might decide that I can't meet your needs or expectations, and I'm going to choose not to work with you. That's basically the gist of it. I don't like saying that. You know, I like letting them know that, hey, you have a decision to make, and I want to bring the most value to you, and I care about you, and I want to help you. If you don't want to work with me, that is totally your choice. I'm still here to help if you want. I'll still answer questions if you want, but it's up to you. And I hope that after meeting with me today, you see the value that I bring, and you know that I'm going to help you get the house that you want for the best price. Or you can say what the script is. It's up to you. Okay, so next, I feel like every chapter of this I'm going to say is the most important part, because then I see needs analysis, and setting the stage was so important, but needs analysis now I'm going to say is the most important part of the meeting, because their needs matter, and this is where you find out what their needs are. And yeah, going into it, you probably know what their price point is, or maybe not. I mean, I've met with people before that somebody gave me their name and I don't really know a lot, but I tend to get some basic stuff on the phone ahead of time. So you may go into it and know that their budget is $700,000. Maybe you happen to know that they have 2 kids, so you assume they need a couple bedrooms. But this is where you're going to find out all of the information, everything that they need, want, desire in a home. You're going to find out if they're an A, B, or C buyer, right? Which if you were on 2 weeks ago, we talked about that, We're going to go into that a little bit more, I think, in the next little chapter. But you're going to find out all of this information. And during this part, you want them to do the majority of the talking. You're going to ask questions. You're going to dig in, but you want them to share all the information, right? And you may know, let's say that they say, here's an example of like when I say kind of steering the conversation, but it's not to steer them to force them into anything. You're steering this part to get them to self-discover. And here's an example. Kelsey, you said that you wanted a 4-bedroom, right? So how many people will be living in the house?
Do you want me to answer that?
Sure. Yeah.
4
So you have
or
what is
5. Let's say 5. A couple and then 3 kids, and each kid gets their own room.
Okay. So you have a married couple and 3 kids. So that means like you definitely need the 4-bedroom, right?
Yes.
So, and do you guys work from home at all, or you work in the office?
I work from home sometimes, and sometimes I'm out of the office, and my husband does construction, so he's always gone.
Okay.
So I'd like to maybe have a space like a den where I could have an office too.
Okay. So
Or room in the master bedroom where I could have an office.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So 4 bedrooms minimum because you have the 3 kids and they each need a room.
Yes.
And I remember you told me you plan on staying here for 5 to 10 years. So you want the kids are going to grow up, they need their own room, right?
Right. Exactly.
And then a den or extra office space would be ideal.
Yeah.
Now,
or if the master was big enough, then I could fit a little office in there. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Now, hypothetically speaking, let's just say that you had said that you wanted 4 bedrooms, but you only had 2 kids. Okay.
Okay.
So you have you and your husband, or you and your spouse, and you have 2 kids. So I'm hearing that you need the 3 bedrooms for the 2 kids and yourself, and then an office. So would it be okay then if we did 3 bedrooms as a search if it had a den or office space or extra space in the bedroom?
Yeah, that would be fine.
Okay. So thank you. I did not prep you, so.
That's okay. I don't care.
But so do you see what I'm saying? So if somebody says they want, which like I say, oh, I want 4 bedrooms, but really, I actually only have 2 kids. And although sometimes I want my husband to have his own bedroom, 3 bedrooms is probably fine with an office space or den space, or sometimes upstairs has like the landing with the big area, like that would suffice. So you're digging into what exactly their needs are and why. Does that make sense? You know, okay, you mentioned that you wanted a big yard because you have a couple kids and 2 dogs. So if you, you know, if we found you, and you also said you wanted new construction, but new construction tends to have smaller yards. So if we found you an older home that is remodeled and had that big backyard for you, would that work in your search as well? Anybody? I'm still just kind of talking at Kelsey, I guess.
That's
Anybody?
fine.
Yes.
I'll volunteer.
So
Yeah, that would work as well. Yeah, I care
Okay.
more about the yard, and even if it was a fixer-upper, we could always, if it was the right price, we could fix it up eventually.
Okay. So see, and in you saying that, you're uncovering, or we just uncovered, that you're fine even with a little bit of a fixer-upper if the price is right,
Yeah,
right? So
exactly.
maybe you're willing to spend more if it's the perfect house with everything, you know? And but if you're sacrificing certain things, then paying less is where that comes into play, right?
Right, exactly.
So it's during this, and actually I guess I can switch screens. It's during this whole needs analysis that you're asking questions and you're uncovering all of this information. And writing it down, right? So also you can reiterate the LP Mama script, which we've talked about before, right?
Mhm.
Finding out where they want to be, what area, where are they working, how far are they willing to commute, are they working from home? LP, so price. So you said that you're willing to have a fixer-upper if the price is right, right? Or you're willing to have 30 minutes extra of your commute if it's that big, beautiful home with an acre backyard, you know? So it's just figuring out what they're willing to spend and where for what. Uncovering why. And keeping track and writing it all down so you remember, right? Because you're educating them along the way of how the searches that you're going to set up, and you're learning also about them. So you ask them, when you think about your lifestyle at home, talk about what features are important to you. So you mentioned the yard is really important, right? What else? Is the school district important? And if the school district is important, then you know that that limits you to certain school districts that they're interested in. So it's learning what is important to them. Maybe they don't have kids and they're not going to have kids, so they don't care about the school district. So it's just learning and asking those questions and boom, taking notes, right? Do you guys have questions so far?
Hi there. Hey, it's Felice. I have a question. Would you do this if somebody's not ready to buy for like until spring?
Do
Like
a buyer consult?
Yeah.
I would. I mean, why not?
Okay.
Unless their needs are going to greatly change, you know, I mean, you could still do this consult and still set up an MLS search as long as they know that the market's changing, but then also find out, hey, if a house came on the market next week in this search, that's your perfect house, are you ready to buy it? And if not, why are you waiting till spring? Is it because of a job? Is it because you're not moving here till then? Is it because of XYZ? You want to find out why are they waiting till spring? Do they think that the prices are going to come down by spring? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that's when their lease is up.
Okay.
I'm asking this because I actually have my very first buyer's consult on Saturday, so.
Okay, so figuring out when their lease is up, and congratulations, that's amazing. If their lease is up in March, how much money are they spending on their rent for, let's say we're in October. So you're meeting with them this weekend. You start looking at houses the next couple of weeks. You go under contract in November. That means that you close 30 days later in mid to end December. That's only January, February, March maybe that they're paying rent. And even some cases, you can write a letter to the landlord or the HOA and find out if they can get out of it, if they can put that apartment on the market and rent it out sooner. So there's ways around that too. And the amount that they're going to make, pull up trend graphics, the amount that they're going to make in an appreciated value owning a home in 3 months is going to be more than they may pay in rent. So you just need to break it down. And yes, absolutely set up the search, because that's only a couple months difference if you went under contract and they moved into the house of their dreams by the end of the year. Not to mention buying a house in 2021 for tax purposes on 2021's tax record, right?
Okay. So it's not too soon to go into this.
Yeah.
Can I say something real quick, Lena? I was in property management for apartments and everything. You can also talk to them, and usually it's like a month or 2 months worth of rent, and you can get out of your lease early. And honestly, by the time your buyers get out there and find something, get under contract, it's going to be March before you know it. And what's going to happen is if they wait too long, is all of a sudden, like if they wait till their lease is up or 1 month before, then they're going to be having to pay month to month. In most cases, month to month is even more expensive, like significantly. So I don't know, that's
Perfect.
just my input.
Yes. No, it's amazing. Amazing point. Yeah. And you don't know when you're going to get them under contract. I would absolutely start now. And tell them that now the holiday time is way better to buy a house than spring.
Way better.
Less people trying right now than spring. The spring's way hotter, just historically speaking, a hotter market, right? And going to get more offers. People kind of simmer down for the holidays, generally speaking, right? Definitely try to get them into a house. Christmas time is the best time to buy a house.
What about selling a house? Is it better in the springtime or now?
The answer to that is always going to be now. It doesn't matter what month of the year, the answer is always now, because you don't know what's going to happen with the market. You just don't know, right? There's no crystal ball. So always with sellers, you want to say now. Yes, historically speaking, spring is generally a hotter market, but if they put it on the market now, they're still going to get the people that are serious buyers that are out looking. And it depends on what their needs are too. But that's a different class. Okay. So let's go back to buyer consult. So once they have done their share of telling you everything, they have told you their hopes and dreams, they told you that they want a butler pantry with glass doors, they told you all of this stuff, right? You know everything that they want. You know what's most important, what's least important, and you also know what they absolutely will not live without, right? I will not live without a bathroom in my master bedroom because I need some peace and quiet, whatever. You know all of that information, okay? Ooh, dig deeper to find out more about their specific needs. Okay, clearly the P and the F button got a little bit switched. If we don't start to nail down locations and hone that down here, we may never find it. We can always add to them later. It's better to start with a few target neighborhoods. Okay, so yes, if they don't really care or they don't know, just start with a general area. I don't mind casting a really big net so that they can start looking online at the places. I'm not going to go show them 100 houses, you know, from Bellingham to Olympia, but you need to kind of get some sort of, you know, idea. You want to ask them about their fears, concerns, and anxieties. Now that we know what type of home you're looking for, as you look forward, what makes you nervous? What gives you a knot in your stomach? Being on a main road because you have kids? That makes me nervous. Finding that out. Okay? You want to know as much information as you can. One of the things I'm going to do is be your advocate and be in the background of your lender situation. So this is kind of with everything. You want to let them know that you are their advocate. You are their team buyer, right? You are on their team. You are there to get the best deal for them, to stand up for them, to be their coach, their confidant, all of that. You are there to support them. You want them to feel like they're the one in charge, right? This is the biggest purchase that most people are going to make. And you are there to help them. So not just the lender situation. It's with the lender. It's with the other agent. It's with title and escrow. It's with the seller. You are there for them and to advocate for them throughout the whole entire process because you are the expert. Which leads us into chapter 3. I like saying chapters as opposed to like sections. Chapter 3. Okay, share my value proposition. So this is kind of combined in my book with educating, right? So you are sharing your value proposition with them / educating them, okay? We've talked about what your future home will look like and your financial ability. So we know that your budget is $700,000, okay? The next thing I'd like to talk about is what I bring to the home buying process. Because guess what? You probably aren't going to find them their house. They are having their Redfin and Zillow thing set up where they are getting alerted every 2 seconds that a house comes on the market. You are not seeing that before they do. Trust me. Unless you're sitting there at your MLS feed seeing all the new houses, the second they come up, they're seeing it first. That's just how it is today. So the value that you bring, unless you're finding an off-market deal, is not that you're going to find the newest house that came on the market in Kirkland. They already know that. The value that you are bringing to them is that you're going to get them that house, right? You're going to negotiate it. You're going to guide them. You're going to support them. You're going to help them through the entire process, and you are going to get them the home that they want. You're not going to find it on the Zillow app for them. They've already done that, right? You're going to get it for them. So you, again, use language like we just said as consult, advocate, protect. It's my job not just to show you homes, but my job is to be your advocate, to protect you during the process and make sure that you don't make an unwise decision, which starts with you educating them from the beginning. From step one, you are educating them. You're educating them on the market, the data of the market, how the whole process is going to look from beginning to end, right? You're there with them, teaching them. Be clear on what you offer to the buyer. What is up with this S key that was not working when these slides were typed out? And how they benefit. Other than my consultant and advocate roles, I'm excited about some of the technology we bring to the table to assist you in your home buying process. One of those is called Boomtown, if you use Boomtown, or Command, because you get that for free with Keller Williams, or insert Brivity. Whatever CRM you use, whatever software you're using that you can send to them, even if it's the MLS that you're sending them, new listings in real time, whatever the case may be, you introduce it to them. If it's Command, we have an app that you can share with them that they can look at stuff and you are pinged when they're looking at the stuff, right? So part of this education is also, I don't know if there's a slide, hold on. Okay, well, let's go back a second. So, okay, so the technology, and then buyers that are unrepresented don't have access to listings. So this is important for them to know also that you have access to listings and all the relevant information that's on the MLS. You also have a network of 1,800 agents in our BKCO family that you can talk to on a daily basis to find properties. I ask people all the time, hey, I'm looking for an off-market property of this, this, and this. Somebody mentioned yesterday they don't know if they're going to get a house in Swell that they put an offer on. I said, hey, my friend's thinking about selling. Maybe she'll sell it to you off-market. Boom, we set up a call. It's having those conversations and the relationships around you with the people that are in your offices and letting these buyers know that you have this network. You bring this to the table. Okay, so education, 2021 update. So back to the ABC script. So we talked about this the last call. This is when you're going to ask them, okay, buyer, Mr. Buyer, I've learned everything that you want in a home. Now, I want to ask you, there's 3 types of buyers right now, okay? There's a C buyer. They want to buy. They don't really have to. They just kind of maybe want a bigger house or a nicer house or something. They don't really need to right now. they're waiting and seeing, they're checking stuff out casually. A B buyer, they want a house and need a house. They don't want to overpay for it, but they want and need a house right now. And then there's an A buyer who's willing to waive everything, give up their firstborn, pay overpriced to get the house that they want. Which buyer are you, Mr. Buyer? Kelsey, which buyer are you?
I'm an A buyer.
Ooh, I like that. I like that because you know what? An A buyer is going to get a house in this market because this is an A market. Actually, this is an A plus plus market. Okay. Most buyers are going to say they're a B buyer. They want a house and they need a house, but they don't want to overpay for it. So your goal and your mission, should you accept, is to get them from a B buyer to an A buyer. Okay. So, whoops. This is where you would draw. Can I do the whiteboard? Hold on. Don't I have a whiteboard on here I can do? Oh.
I think if you change your share screen.
Maybe stop share.
Yeah, and then try sharing again, and then you'll have a whiteboard option.
You're so smart. Okay. So here is my whiteboard. Let's just see how this is going to work out. Okay, Kelsey buyer. This is great. Okay, I have these 3 boxes, right? And we just went over what an A buyer is, a B buyer, and a C buyer. Now, I told you that we're in an A market, right?
Right.
Here's this house. See all these dots on this little A house? These are all A buyers. They all put in offers on this A house. This is what you have to be to get a house in this market. If you're a B buyer that you don't want to pay over and you don't want to waive anything and do anything, you're not getting this house against all of these A buyers, right? I shouldn't have done this art because it doesn't look very good, but you get the point, right? So you need to get your people to be A buyers. And to do that, they have to understand it, right? Now I'm going to go back and share my screen again. There we go. Okay, so the ABC script. So you have it drawn out for them. You show it to them, and you say that we need to get you to be the A buyer, right? So if a B buyer, okay, maybe like Felice was saying, they're like, well, you know, I don't really want to move until March because I have this. It's educating them and showing them. So we talked a couple weeks ago about, you know, maybe it takes an offer that you write for them to see like, oh, shoot, if I would have waived inspection, let's say, I would have won it because that person paid the same amount, but they waived inspection. Now, that's not you pushing them to waive inspection. That is not what we want to do. We don't want to push any buyers. We don't want to force them to make any decisions like that, right? We don't want them mad at us later. We don't want that responsibility. It's our responsibility to teach them not only what it takes, but what each of those things mean. What does it mean to waive inspection? Or what are your options for waiving inspection? You can do a pass-fail. You could do a pre-inspection, right? So knowing what you're teaching them so that they are educated, right? Do you guys have questions so far? Some people might say, well, I'm worried about overpaying. I don't want to overpay for a house. It was listed at $700,000. I don't want to overpay $100,000 and pay $800,000. You have to think about the language that you're using. Well, you know, Kelsey, you know, I don't want you to really look at it as overpaying if your budget is 800 and you're going to stay there, like you said, for 5 to 10 years. You know, I think that that's a really sound investment in Kirkland. Because here, let's look at market trends. Here's a graph of, you know, from Trend Graphics. Let's look at it. Generally speaking, by the time this house closes, there's going to be comps to support that. And the market value is what you're willing to pay for it. So it's not that is over market value, that is the market value. And all these houses that are closing for X amount over don't have the comps in time to support them because they're going under contract so fast. And by the time they close, you're going to probably see other comps that do support that. So it's educating them. Using that Trend Graphics is so awesome too, because showing them the data of, look, in Snohomish, houses are selling for on average 12% over list. So you looking at this house for $700,000, paying 12% over list is the standard right now. And remember last time we looked at the MLS and we looked at that sold price percentage over list price. And you can pull an area and just quickly scroll through on the MLS and see what that looks like. Oh, Bellevue. Well, looks everything's going for 15% to 18% over list price in the last 30 days. So, Kelsey, you know, if we're looking right here in Bellevue, that's the standard in this price range. So it's not that they're thinking that you just want to change the way that they're looking at it. They're not overpaying. They're paying, you know, whatever their budget was, obviously, and what they're willing to pay. And they're not the only one. It's not like 100 other people are all paying list price and just Kelsey paid $100,000 over. You know what I mean? So it's educating them. It's showing them the data and using those, you know, Trend Graphics reports to show them, because you don't want it to be that you're just making up this information. I like to show them. And literally the MLS is the easiest way. And when you're in a buyer consult, open up your laptop, share your screen, whatever the case may be, and say, look, you're looking in Bellevue, here's your price range. Let's look right now and see what's active. Then they can also see what the houses look like in the price range they want. Because sometimes they think in their head that the $2 million house down the street is really like an $800,000 house, and they're not really sure. So they can see, oh, these are what all the houses look like in the price range I want in that area. Oh, and also, Kelsey, let's look and see what sold in the last 30 days in your price range in Kirkland. Oh, that's what sold, and that's how much over list. So I know that if my budget's 800, we need to be looking at 600, right? So it's them knowing how to get the house that they want so they're happy, but what that looks like. And also, it's not fair to them to take them along this journey of like, oh, we want this $800,000 house in Kirkland that you know that they're not going to get, because you know that that house is going for 1.1 million. So it is your job to educate them. You don't want to play along and be like, okay, it's listed at 800. Let's write an offer for 800 or $799. Right? Do you guys have questions about that? And sometimes people say, like Felice said, should we wait? Should we wait to buy? Every case is different. I think that you have to make that decision in the conversations that you're having as it happens, depending on what the situation is. But again, if you're asking questions and you're educating, then you should know the answer when you're in that situation. Set service expectations. You guys know Mike Hicks? This is promise script. Oh, not there. I don't know where the slide is. Well, also, you guys, so anybody that is on this right now, we are going to send you, oh, maybe that's what it was. We're going to send you the promise script, and we're going to send you all of this stuff. So anytime you're on these live ones, you get the stuff sent to you. Right, Robin?
Right.
And the other thing that I will say, kind of going back to the last chapter of educating, is that, do you ever hear your parents, like if you're driving down the street and they're like, oh, I wish I hadn't sold that house 20 years ago, right? My parents say that about the house that I grew up in that they bought for $115,000. It is now worth $800,000. I say that to them. I wish you guys hadn't sold the Jordan house. Nobody ever says, oh, I'm so happy I sold that because now it's worth 16 times the amount that I paid for it. So know that too, unless, you know, your buyer is maybe going to get a job change or transfer out in the next year. If they're staying for 5 years, it's a smart decision, you know, it's going to go up. Real estate has steadily gone up over time. It may take little dips here and there, but overall, the overall arrow is going up. Like the Jordan house that my parents sold. You guys, I still watch that house on Zillow. I don't know why. I think that like maybe one day I'll buy it just to like have it. I'm so mad about it. All right, and then you close for the agreement. So after everything that you have shared with them, all of the value that you have brought, all of the education, the trend graphic report, everything that you have showed them. I have enjoyed so much spending time with you today, discussing everything that you guys need and want in a house and just the entire process. Now, I just want to take a few minutes to discuss the legal aspects of real estate because, you guys, it is a transaction, it is a contract, and for most, the biggest one of their lives. So let me explain to you how real estate agency works. The listing agent represents the seller of the home, and the selling agent or the buyer's agent represents the buyer, you. That is my role with you. And remember, you've already talked at this point that you are there for them. You are there to help them, to coach them, to protect them, and to be their advocate, right? So you've already pointed all of that out. That is my role with you. I have a fiduciary and ethical duty to be your consultant, your advocate, and your protector during this entire process once we enter into a buyer agency. So in your package today that I have given you, that you have brought with you to this appointment, you will find your Law of Real Estate Agency pamphlet. This goes into detail about this. As a buyer's agent, I actually get compensated by the seller. So when a seller decides to put their home on the market, they offer X% of the sales price to their listing agent as a compensation. When the listing agent puts that home onto the MLS, they offer a part of that percentage to the buyer's agent, who brings them, there's that dang P again instead of the F, who brings them a qualified buyer for their listed property. So let's talk about what this means. It means that you get to work with a buyer's agent whose job is to protect you like we talked about and doesn't cost you anything. The seller pays. Does that make sense to you? So in saying that, let's talk about the buyer's agency agreement. This agreement commits both of us to working together. It spells out how the compensation works. It spells out what my duties and responsibilities to you as your agent are, and how I'm going to be compensated by the seller's agent. which sounds mutually exclusive unless it's spelled out in the agreement. Does that make sense to you? Okay, great. So are you guys ready to sign the buyer's agency agreement with me at this time? If no, how about a clause that they can cancel the contract at any time with 48 hours notice? Would that make you feel more comfortable? So Brandon and Kelsey and Sean Brown, since you came on, I'm calling your name. Have you guys had somebody sign a buyer's agency agreement at your buyer consult? Or did you not do that?
Oddly enough, I've only had listings, so I haven't had that scenario either way or a buyer consultation officially.
Okay, not a bad problem to have. Brandon and Kelsey, what about you guys at your buyer consult you did?
I have not. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Brandon.
I was just going to say, one that I did not. I just spoke with the wife in person. The husband was at work. And so she said she wanted to just take it with her and discuss it with her husband whenever she gets home.
Okay, Kelsey?
And I have not, but I don't plan on ever not having one again because I've just heard some horrible stories. And so I plan on always having one.
So, just so you guys know, somebody asked a question. This is not a binding contract like the listing agreement. So if you're in a contract with the listing agreement or with the seller and use a listing agreement, that's binding, right? They owe you that percentage. Now, if you're in a contract with your buyer's agreement with a buyer and they end up using somebody else, there's really nothing you can do. It's more of a mental, because you're not going to go after them if they end up using another agent. But it is a mental thing in their head where they feel connected to you, right? They feel like they're obligated to you. So getting them to sign that is really good. And I know people that will not work with somebody unless they sign that too. All right, establishing next steps. So from that point on, you get it signed, or if you don't get it signed, or whatever the case may be, it's what are the next steps? Have you already set up a search for them? If not, I always say, I'm gonna have a search set up for you today. I don't care what time it is, I will go home and set up that MLS search because I want them to start receiving houses right away from my technology that I set up. Because if it's on the MLS with me, I see when they click on it. And from there, they can also heart it. They can leave notes on it, right? So I want to set that up immediately. I can also see if they never log into it and never look at it, which gives me uh-oh, right? Hey, Kelsey, I see that you haven't logged into the portal yet. You haven't looked at anything. Did you get the email? Whatever. But so I get that set up. So if that's the next step, hey, Kelsey, I'm going to send you this search tonight. I know that you guys are super excited and ready to get going and you want to be in a house by Christmas. So let's pick out some houses and go see this weekend. Yes, it's Thursday. And you know what? My weekend's open and ready. We are going Friday, Saturday, Sunday if we need to. So establish the next steps. Because you now just spent an hour plus with them. You know everything. You know when they need a place. You know when their lease is up at their current place. You know when they're moving. Whatever the case may be, you know all of the information. And so you know what the next steps are with setting up showings and what that looks like. Or if they need to get pre-approved first. You know what? Kelsey, here's my lender. We're going to get this ball rolling right now because I want you to be able to get ready to go see a house that comes on the market tomorrow that you absolutely love. So we need to get you pre-approved. In fact, I'm connecting you right now with my lender and you guys are going to get on this as soon as we're done here. Text, whatever, right? So whatever the next steps are that they need to take in their process, that is what you are doing. And you are doing that before you leave with them. You're not just leaving with like, okay, it's been so great, Sean, to see you. Bye. It's homework. This is what we are doing within the next hour. And make them repeat it back. Okay, Sean, what are you doing right now? What are you doing when we leave here? Oh, you're going to get all your pay stubs together and your stuff to get to the lender and da. Okay, I'm going to check in with you in 3 hours to see if you've gotten that ready. Whatever the case may be, wherever you guys left it, wherever they are at in the process of being ready, that is what you figure out and do. If everybody can change, let's see, does everybody have their names and market center? Can you put your market center with your name? And we're going to go into breakout rooms just for, a few minutes and we can wrap up. But I just want you guys to be able to check back in with each other because we haven't done the breakout since the first one. And talk about what your value is. I think that's a great little mastermind to have. What is the value that you're going to bring in a buyer consult? How does that look? Maybe you guys want to team up and role play. Maybe you want to do pretend ones with each other. Go over that in your mastermind and see who has one, see who's done one, see, what the value is, or ask questions with the people in your own market center. Robin, are you here?
Yep, I'm working on it.
Okay. I see some people hopping off because I think that means they don't want to be in the breakout room. So we're going to do that. And then when you guys are in your breakout room and you are done with your group and exchange numbers and connect with each other. Oh, if you're doing the buyer's consult via Zoom, how do you get them to sign a contract? Great question. You have Authentisign.
Hey, Lena, I have one more quick question.
Yeah.
When you're setting the appointment, should you tell them how long you think it'll be?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just say you want to meet with them for an hour.
Okay, perfect, cool. Thank you so much. I gotta
You're
go.
welcome. Okay, bye.
Bye.